Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Gilda Evans, bringing you the Autism Resource Podcast. This podcast and the ARP website are your one-stop knowledge and resource base for autism and much more. I'm very happy to have Chris Latham as my guest today. Chris is a certified financial planner and has worked with clients for the past 27 years. He focuses on making smart money decisions for clients, tax mitigation, taking care of heirs, protecting assets, and magnifying charitable contributions. Owning his own practice for nearly 20 years, Chris has been able to focus on the things that truly matter to his clients and will benefit them the most. He believes planning and saving for the future is the most important thing an individual can do, and that there is a direct link between financial wellness and physical health. He also believes that regardless of the circumstances, there is always an opportunity to save, grow, and create financial stability for the future. Welcome, Chris, and thanks so much for taking the time to join me today to discuss creating financial security for those who are neurodiverse or disabled.
Great. Thank you so much, Gilda. It's great to be here.
So to begin with, what does your financial practice focus on, and how does that translate to families who have neurodiverse or disabled dependents?
We are really financial planning based firm. We don't focus on just investments, stocks, bonds, whatever it is. It's kind of everything as a whole, as you mentioned. So it's number one, making smart money decisions, and that is going to be investments and how people need to be able to build the portfolio to last for a lifetime. Number two is helping to reduce taxes, hold on to more of what you earn. Number three is taking care of the heirs and taking care of you while during your lifetime, and that's estate planning, and then protecting the assets, insurance-based risk management, things like that. And of course, there's charitable interests. So the nice thing is that applies to everybody as a whole, no matter what. If you think about that as the foundation, and any other different circumstances people are dealing with, whether it's age or personal circumstances or net worth, whatever it is, those are all just building blocks on top of that foundation that I just mentioned.
Now, we all know that there are special needs trusts, and there are a variety of different special needs trusts. Can you touch upon the different types of special needs trusts that there are, and what are the things that you consider when setting up or contributing to this specific type of trust? And also, can you touch upon some of the basic benefits?
Sure, absolutely. So when people think of a trust, it's really designed to ensure that your assets go to your intended beneficiaries. Avoid probate. When you're looking at special needs trusts, the idea here is the same thing. We want money going to our intended beneficiaries, but now we're looking at asset protection. So in other words, for individuals that are receiving some type of government-based benefits, we don't want a sum of money or a large amount to take away their benefits. So that's where special needs trusts will come into play. And there's different types, but really the main two that people will look at. Number one is the first party special needs trust, and you don't really see too many of those. I haven't come across too many, but those will be for the individual, the person that is part of the neuroverse or disabled community that we serve. They will set that up for themselves. So maybe you have someone who is working and they're earning money. They don't want to just put it into a checking account and have that balance build up, because if you're holding more than $2,000 in your name, then your government benefits are going to be reduced. So that person can set up a first party special needs trust, and the funds can grow and build within that entity and not jeopardize government-based benefits. So that could be also a person working, or maybe they've inherited money. Maybe mom and dad nobody sat down and educated them on what needs to be done to properly plan an estate, and things transfer down to the individual. So that person has received a large inheritance, and again, that's going to disqualify from benefits. So a first party special needs trust will be funded by that person's individual's income, or maybe an inheritance or a lawsuit, let's say. There, for whatever reason, whatever large amount of money they come into, that goes into that trust and can preserve their government benefits. Another needs trust is going to be a third party special needs trust, and that would be for the parents, let's say grandparents. When they pass, they want to make sure that the money is contained in an entity that will not jeopardize their child's government-based benefits. And so they will set up within their own trust an amendment, or even a separate standing special needs trust at the moment. And any inheritance that's designated for that child will pass down through that special needs trust, and again, to protect the benefits.
Are there other options available for families that don't want to have the fees associated with setting up a trust, or maybe they can't afford setting up a trust?
That's a great question. Yes. So that is one of the drawbacks of a trust, special needs trust. You're talking about the cost, and then certainly lack of control for the beneficiary. They're going to have to go to a trustee each time to request funds. There's also, obviously, the cost, like I said, but the continuity, I guess, it can be lacking at times. So in this case, Congress came down years ago and set up what's called an ABLE account. So it stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience. And that allows the individual and any family members to contribute to an account that will be exempt or separate from the individual and won't be counted against their government benefits. So the money that is set aside in that type of account will grow tax deferred, and if withdrawn to be used for qualified disability expenses, will come out tax free. So that's a real simple way to go ahead and set aside money for needs for down the road. And it just works perfectly. So some of the aspects of that account, it does limit the amount that you can put in. So this year in 2022, everybody can put in $16,000 into that account, and that's it. So we don't all have $16,000 just to put into an account, but if you did, then that's your maximum there, and that is from all sources. So if the individual is working, they want to fund some of that money in there, mom and dad, grandparents, friends, other family members want to contribute, then that max this year is $16,000. And I can only have one account, only have one ABLE account. And I take it back, if the individual is working, they are able to contribute an extra, right now, what is it, $12,880. So there could be a potential to contribute up to almost $29,000 for this year.
Okay. Are there any other things to consider when setting up the account? I understand they're available in a variety, in quite a number of different states. When setting up or when making contributions to the account, are there some tips you can give on some things you really want to keep in mind?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people will ask, is there any type of deduction? Kind of like, if I put money into an IRA or something like that, do I get a tax deduction? And not really. I mean, there might be some, savers credits, tax credit, things like that per state. But every state is going to be different. They all have their own plans. But generally speaking, you're not putting money in there to get an actual current year tax deduction. You're just trying to set aside money that can hopefully build over a longer period of time, to be able to fund expenses that they're going to be increasing over life, and do so tax-free with that growth. So that money can be invested and grow tax-free, and if withdrawn properly, will be tax-free.
Now, when you say withdrawn properly, I understand that it's a pretty broad list of things that you can pay for with an ABLE account. Is that true?
Absolutely. And it's kind of nice, because that's kind of the nuances or difference between, say, a special needs trust and an ABLE account. go back to the special needs trust, that's really going to be designed to fund things that person wants. The extra stuff, the vacations, I want to get a pet, different things like that. But the ABLE account is going to be more designed for ongoing day-to-day living expenses. So it can be used for housing, where special needs trust, you want to avoid that type of distribution for that. You may have your benefits reduced. So an ABLE account, we can use that money to take care of housing expenses, food expenses, legal financial services, transportation, education, employment training, things like that. It's very broad, and it's designed to give you a better standard of living every day, every year.
Now, what about having a will? Some people do, some people don't. What is your take on that?
Yes, yeah. So the difference between a will and, let's say, a trust, we get that question a lot, and I'll circle back to why a will here. So trust avoids probate, and a will, when it just comes to financial and estate planning, a will, if your assets are transferred by a will, if you have a mutual fund or a savings account, that's going to go through probate. So that's an added expense. So you don't want your assets, as a parent, let's say, you don't want your assets transferring to your children through the will. You'd want it through the trust. But a will becomes very important if you have minor children, or in this case, or the population that we serve as well. And you're having to consider a legal guardian, someone that can come in and take care of the beneficiary, physically, medically, someone that has to make medical decisions for them. So that's where a will is going to come into play. And I'm speaking of the parents themselves. They're going to name the guardians for that beneficiary within their will. So it becomes very important.
Well, that certainly makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard also that life insurance can lessen the financial burden for the guardians of the dependents after, say, their parents have passed. Can you explain that a little bit? How does that work?
Sure. Well, I mean, we all, as parents, we all want to make sure we magnify or maximize the amount of money that's going to go to our kids. And in this case, if parents have a child that is part of the disabled community, you cannot have that money go directly to the child again, because any government benefit base benefits will be reduced. So the life insurance component can be used to leverage or multiply the amount of money that passes down. So let's say parents are going to get a life insurance policy. It's $100,000, it's $500,000, whatever it is. That's going to immediately multiply the amount of money that can pass down to the child. And if done properly, that can be set up in what's called an irrevocable life insurance trust, or the funds can be paid directly to the special needs trust. Either way, it's going to be irrevocable. And so you have a large amount of money that can be passed down to be used for the benefit of this child without jeopardizing their benefits.
Okay, well, that sounds very good.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, is there something that we haven't covered in this very high overview that we've been discussing on approaching financial planning? And certainly you're welcome to come back another time when we can get a little more into the weeds on some of these topics that we've covered. But is there something that we haven't mentioned that I haven't asked so far that you feel is important to mention at this point? Well,
I think that, when I was talking about the five major components of the financial planning, it applies, again, like I mentioned, to every single person. You think back to Aristotle, the quote that he made, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And that really is true for financial planning. So when it comes to building for the future, the chassis looks the same. So those five areas. The nice part is, it's not some, way out of the way type of planning that anybody needs to do. Everyone does the same types of things. They're just nuances. So I would just simply say that parents really need to consider what they're doing for themselves. They have to come first, obviously. They have to plan for their retirement and hopefully a long life and a fun retirement. But they also at the same time need to be focusing on that child, that beneficiary, and how much longer their own resources, once passed down, are going to have to last. So you really want to kind of focus on making sure that things are done properly, making smart money decisions. That you're thinking about, two generations, yourself and that child. You're thinking about the tax consequences, the estate planning, the insurance. I mean, parents, what you don't want to have happen is not being maybe prepared for circumstances that could occur to you. Something like a nursing care, medical situation, lawsuit. What happens to mom and dad if there's a nursing care need? An entire estate can be wiped out, and all this planning that had been done, to work for the beneficiary down the road is all gone because all the funds are gone now. Same thing. The little things you want to focus on, things like, let's say, an umbrella policy. Mom and dad are driving down the road and they get in an accident. It happens to be their fault, and they're sued for millions of dollars. A car insurance covers a certain amount, but maybe an umbrella policy could be utilized for a very small amount each year of premium that could cover the rest of their assets that are then designed to drop down to the beneficiary. So I would say it becomes very important to make sure that all of these aspects are looked at closely and planned properly, because you're truly planning for two generations, yours and your child.
So how can our listeners reach you if they have questions and want to know more?
Sure. I would say that the easiest way is to visit us at lathamwealth.com, our website. That's LathamWealth.com.
Terrific. Well, thank you, Chris, so much for your time and for sharing some great information with us today.
Absolutely. My pleasure, Gilda. Thank you.
If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast. You can find it on Apple iTunes, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and other popular platforms. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can always access us and other great resources on our website, www.autismresourcepodcast.com. I want to thank our listeners for spending part of their day with us. This is the Autism Resource Podcast, and I'm Gilda Evans, reminding you to take care of yourself and that special person in your life.